It's your girl, Ms. VA Finest, and welcome to Melanated Mondays. And also welcome to the podcast. I said WTH, I said. Okay. So this is the second installment of Melanated Mondays, where I talk all things Black. Last Monday we discussed Breonna Taylor and the fact that property is now worth more than Black lives. And actually, Black lives do not matter in America with 3Ks. Now, on the second installment of Melanated Mondays, we've just now celebrated, we've just now had the holiday Juneteenth, and it was celebrated by many across the country. Now, this has become a federal holiday. And I want to talk to you guys about how I feel about it becoming a federal holiday. Now, in the scheme of life, that should make me happy. I've been celebrating Juneteenth for years. In the city that I grew up in, Roanoke, Virginia, we always had a Juneteenth celebration for years. Even before we were having Juneteenth celebrations in my city of Roanoke, Virginia, they were having Jubilee celebrations in a neighboring city in Lynchburg, Virginia. So we've been celebrating for quite the decades. Okay. I heard about Juneteenth and studying Black history in college and things of that nature. And it kind of saddened me. So I didn't celebrate it for years, and then I started to celebrate. The reason why I heard about Juneteenth and exactly what it was and why I was saddened is Juneteenth is not the celebration of the ending of slavery, because technically slavery ended with the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. Okay, but it didn't become real and actual until Congress voted for the 13th Amendment in 1865. Okay, so what is Juneteenth? In 1865, way in Texas, okay, when the war ended, or as it was going on, President Lincoln went to visit the troops in 1863, and he was horrified by what he saw. Brother versus brother. Oh my goodness, it was a mess. So what he decided to do is end this war. He was actually wondering, while the war was taking place, why are these Southern soldiers so resilient? The North apparently, and we all know, had more money, more funding. But how are these individuals in the South being resilient like that? Because of the slaves, okay? Or because they could go out to war and in the household have the women there and then the slaves. So Lincoln decided to ask, to get a head start on this war or get it over with by freeing the slaves and saying that if the slaves come to war with the North, that they would in turn be free afterwards. Okay, kind of like a quid pro quo, do something for something and things of that nature. So a lot of men in the South chose to move north or chose to go north to gain their freedom by fighting in the Civil War. So that's one part that we have. However, that was in 1863, and the war continued for a couple more years. And then in Texas, those individuals for 2 years were still slaves. It wasn't until the Union, which were the Northern, I was going to say warriors, I guess you could say that, the Northern soldiers came and told those Texans that they were free. And they begin this jubilee, this celebration. This happened on June 19th, 1865. So now in this modern era or modern day of Juneteenth, that's what the celebration is. It's not really the end of slavery. It's when the last slaves realized or found out it was real. And again, when I found out about this holiday, I did not want to celebrate it because it in turn brought up these feelings. Not that I don't, if you're Black or, in America, you're going to live with this constant feeling of, I'm not going to say inadequacy because I'm not inadequate, but this feeling of that it's always something. It's always some underlying systematic racism or things of that nature that goes on and that you have to deal with. You're always in the battle for this constant rage. It's either it's a grapple to be Black. Black is beautiful. I love Black. I wouldn't want to trade it. I wouldn't want to pass. But at the end of the day, it's this thing, this underlying rage, because you have to deal with things that your white counterparts or cohorts don't have to deal with. And then they look at you like something's wrong with you. Now, I don't care how people look at me. I don't care what people think about me starting this podcast and talking about real issues and all things Black, because it needs to be addressed and it needs to be said. And I said what the H I said. Okay. So in dealing with that, I did not want to celebrate, because why would I celebrate 2 more years of white America getting over on Black people? Why would I want to celebrate that? Why would I want to celebrate that? I would more in turn want to celebrate something where Black people have gotten over on the system. You feel me? PPP Day. You feel me? Big bank take little bank day. You feel me? I don't want to celebrate things where YTs are getting over on Black America and Black culture. I don't want to do that. So that's why I didn't celebrate for years. And then to me, it became more of a self-empowering thing. And then I started to celebrate and embrace Juneteenth, just like I started embracing my natural hair, just like I started embracing my natural curves, my melanin. And I started to actually, not that I was lost, but gain this sense of pride. And I believe that sense of pride came in college. And how could a sense of Black pride come when you attend a PWI, a predominantly white institution? Easily, because you're surrounded by a small subset of subculture that were woke. You feel me? That we were woke, and at the end of the day, I was asleep when I went to college. But then I woke up. So in doing that, it made me embrace a lot of things, and then I kind of lost that along the way when I graduated and I tried to quote unquote, make it for a seat at the table. And then I realized I need to create my own damn table. Why am I vying for a seat at the table? I've been doing it wrong all these years after college. When in fact, African Americans, excuse my language, Blacks, we are the table. We created the table. Everything that's fashionable, we created. Everything that is good, we've created. And our success has been downplayed, even in this new resurgence of them trying to downplay and rewrite history and take out critical race theory, because you already know, once people figure out who they are, then you can't oppress them. You might be able to technically get away with it, but in the words of T-Rex, you ain't get away with it. Okay. You may thought you got away with it, but you ain't get away with it. Okay. So with all that being said, I have been celebrating Juneteenth for years in my 30s. And things of that nature. And we've been celebrating in my city and everything was good. And so now, why am I not happy? Why am I not elated that Juneteenth is now a federal holiday, which means people get paid and get to be off work? But listen, shorty, I'm an educator. I'm off already. I've been celebrating Juneteenth in lieu of the 4th of July for years. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't turn vegan / vegetarian / pescatarian, but back in my day, I used to go to a barbecue. You feel me? I eat burgers. You feel me? And some chips. You feel me? Hot dogs with the real chili on it. Y'all know nothing about that southern stuff. You got to have the homemade chili. It ain't the same. Hot dogs don't hit the same without the chili. Okay? So I've had these things. I've celebrated. So why wouldn't I be elated? Again, I don't get paid for that holiday. Not that I'm saying it's about the money, but now Juneteenth has been whitewashed. So when Dr. Martin Luther King holiday is celebrated, I have not felt the way about that being celebrated. I accepted it. He is one of the public figures because of his nonviolent stance that made white America comfortable. Okay? He made white America comfortable. That's why he's celebrated. Because they got beat upside their head and dogs sicked on them. But that was his way. Got beat upside his head and dogs got sicked on him. And things of that nature. And then America and the countries beyond saw this treatment and the nonviolence. So in turn, he is glorified as this hero. And I'm not downplaying him. Lord knows I'm not. But I felt no way. I celebrate his every year. I do community service. Okay. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. I take youth to volunteer. And I don't feel a way about it. But it's just something about Juneteenth is not sitting right with me. So now I heard, I don't know, that Walmart is selling Juneteenth t-shirts. For real, bruh. So the establishment, the white establishment that has systematic racism that oppresses us is now benefiting off of our holiday. That's crazy. That's crazy. Juneteenth is now whitewashed. It doesn't hit the same. When we were celebrating at Washington Park in Roanoke, Virginia, having ourselves a ball, talking about self-empowerment, having the youth volunteer, having the youth do performances, having community activists there, coming together with the police. Yes, we did. Coming together with community leaders, coming together with the sororities and the fraternities. That was amazing. That was our thing. It wasn't the city benefiting off of our backs. It was us receiving those proceeds or us receiving that free meal that the city paid for us and other people who put on the celebration. Amazing. So now everybody's celebrating it. I should be happy, right? That's crazy. I used to say back in the day, this is when I was a little more militant. I used to say, I don't care if it's KKK day and I'm getting a day off work, I'm going to celebrate that too. I was ignorant as hell. I'm not celebrating no damn KKK day. And how is white America celebrating Juneteenth? If you're trying to take critical race theory out of the classrooms and trying to whitewash the history, what are they doing? It's summertime. There's no school unless it's summer school. But what is white America doing? What are you doing? To me, I see this as a way, or as a slap on the wrist. Yeah, we're going to give y'all something. Well, the something needs to be reparations. That's what we need. How did us, as America with the 3Ks, that's how it has the 3Ks, but how did us as America get the Asian hate bill before the anti-lynching bill? What in the hell? What in the hell? That's crazy. Man, upon doing my research, I watched mad videos, especially the ones about the critical race theory being taken out of schools and things of that nature. And the language has been changed to say that white supremacy isn't wrong. That's the language that the senators have taken out of the bill. When the bill was passed in the House, and it has to go to the Senate next, when it was passed, it was so many things in there about women historians, women history, blacks in history. All those things were taken out, and are trying to be taken out in the Senate. That's crazy. So that, and when the senators were pressed about it, they were pussyfooting around the topic at hand and trying not to answer the question about, is white supremacy wrong? And it's crazy too, because around the time of the O.J. Simpson trial, people were ecstatic about O.J. getting off. I guess people could celebrate that as a day, but not me, because I felt he did it in my heart of hearts. And the fact that he killed a woman, I don't care what race she was, that didn't sit fucking right with me. So I wasn't on any of that domestic violence shit and none of that. So it didn't sit well with me. But people were celebrating. And when I came back to my city, I was in college, and then we heard the verdict and, things of that nature. But when I came back to the city, it was this eerie feeling. I go to stores, and it was a quiet, situation where you can tell it was, people thought because I was black, I am black, that I was okay with the verdict, or I was happy about the verdict. Hell no. I'm gonna also take you back to the Rodney King verdict. When Rodney King and they found those officers not guilty, and those individuals started rioting and looting in Los Angeles, that was a unique time to be alive, because there were so many white people that I were around that were scared, and I never seen this before. Scared that maybe I would loot too, maybe I was in Virginia, and this happened in Los Angeles. But when the Rodney King verdict happened, I felt that uneasiness of white Americans. I don't know if that was white guilt or what. I don't know what that was. The last thing I want to talk about before I get out of here is white fragility. Now, white fragility is a term that basically means that white people are scared when it comes to talking about race. When we're talking about race and racism and systematic oppression, a lot of white America does not want to talk about it because of the reality of how bad we've been treated. This is why I believe they're not trying to give us reparations, because you have to admit that you are wrong. We've received apologies from presidents. We've received certain amendments and certain things of that nature just to kind of, throw us a little bone here and there. This is what I feel the Juneteenth federal holiday was. We'll give them a little something. We asked not to be murdered. We asked for police accountability and better training. We asked for so many things. At the bottom of the list was Juneteenth. I didn't even sign up for it because we celebrate it anyway. And again, if you're in education, you're not even working. So what day they gonna give you off that you're gonna get paid for? Do you get a double check? I've had some people joke and troll and say that only Black people should be off on that day. That'll be a reparation. But I'll go ahead and get out of here, you guys. I want to thank you guys for, coming through. So listening to me on this Melanated Monday on the I Said WTH. That's what the hell. I Said WTH. I Said the podcast. A place for all things Black. Here I talk about everything that affects Black people and helps us maneuver in America with the 3 Ks and in a white man's world.